probably be a good idea. If he hits something hard inside the occupant compartment, he may see more force than he does.
One way we learn more about what happens in crashes is by running vehicle crash tests. Right now, we're in the final stages of getting this car ready for a test. It's going to hit a barrier at 30 miles an hour, and the impact is going to happen very quickly. Then we'll go back and look at slow motion film that lets us see exactly what happened in the crash. This car is going 30 miles an hour.
And everything inside it is moving at the same speed. When the car first contacts the barrier,
the occupant compartment doesn't stop immediately because the front end of the car is crushing and absorbing energy. This happens in a fraction of a second. But people can still be protected if they're restrained. If they're not, they continue moving at 30 miles an hour until they slam into something like the steering wheel, dashboard,
o sea que si ustedes están manejando y chocan a 70 millas por hora, van a salir volando a 70 millas por hora si no llevan el cinturón.
When there's plenty of time to slow down, like during braking,
they don't get injured.
But when they slam into something hard, they stop very fast,
and injuries can occur. Safety belts and airbags together offer the best protection in frontal crashes. They allow people to slow down with the occupant compartment. Airbags also spread the crash forces over the upper body and reduce the risk of serious head and chest injury. Safety belts protect people in non-frontal crashes too. Plus, they prevent ejection. And if there are violent maneuvers before a crash, belts keep people in their seats where they need to be for airbag protection. To get the maximum benefits, you need to do more than just buckle up. It also matters how you buckle up and where you sit.
First, the lap part of the belt should fit as low as possible over your hips. Don't let it ride up over your stomach.
O sea,
if it does ride up over your stomach, which can happen, especially with bench seats, the belt itself could injure you during a crash. The shoulder belt should fit comfortably. If it rubs against your neck, check to see if it can be adjusted. You might also try adjusting the seat for a more comfortable fit. If this doesn't work, still use your shoulder belt. Don't ever put it behind you or under your arm.
And don't let anybody else, including children, do this.
A driver should position the seat as far away from the steering wheel as is comfortable for driving. The more distance, the less chance that your face will hit the steering wheel in a crash.
And keep in mind, this can happen in a severe crash, even if you're using a safety belt. An airbag gives additional upper body restraint and can keep your face from hitting the steering wheel. But remember that a crash is over in a fraction of a second, so the airbag has to inflate very fast. They look like soft pillows in slow motion, but when they begin inflating, there's considerable force behind them.
70, 80, 90.
Ideally, you want the bag to fully inflate before you contact it.
This is another reason to move your seat back as far as it's comfortable, away from the path of an inflating airbag.
Once it's inflated, it provides an energy-absorbing buffer as it deflates.
Something else to remember is not to drive with your arm across the steering wheel. The reason is the same as why you sit back and away from an airbag. The initial inflation force can be enough to break your arm.
Now, the up position.
¿A dónde tienen que usar la parte de la cabezal?
Toward the end of a serious frontal crash, people rebound backwards toward the seat, and then their head restraints can be important.
Si reciben un golpe ahí, reciben un golpe en la masa encefálica y pueden quedar en estado vegetal. ¿Vieron?
But head restraints can also catch your head and prevent injury during rebound.
A head restraint should be directly behind and very close to the back of your head.
If your head restraint isn't fixed in place, adjust it so that it's behind and as close to the back of your head as possible. This way, it can protect you in both front and rear impacts.
De acuerdo a la ley de Virginia, recuerden de que tienen que tener al bebé ahora desde 0 de recién nacido hasta 2 años mirando para atrás. Así en esa posición pueden ver hasta los 2 años. La ley cambió el 1 de julio del 2016.
Rear-facing restraints should never be placed up front. Because if the airbag inflates, it can hit the back of the restraint with enough force to seriously injure the baby. When infants graduate to child seats, they should still ride in back. Make sure the restraint is tightly secured to the vehicle with a safety belt. And the child is buckled in too.
When children get too big for their child restraints, they may use booster seats to raise them up and get a better fit into an adult safety belt. Or a child may be big enough to use an adult belt without a booster. Just be sure the lap belt fits low across the hips and the shoulder portion is comfortable. Don't ever put a shoulder belt behind a child or under the arm. Remember, the rear seat is still the safest. Only if there's no choice should a child ride up front. And if there's a passenger airbag, it's very important to remember that the force of an inflating airbag can cause injuries. So move the vehicle seat back as far as it will go to keep the child away from the airbag. And for the same reason, don't let a child sit forward on the edge of the seat like some kids want to do. And remember this especially. Never place an infant restraint up front if there's a passenger airbag.
Riding unrestrained has always been the biggest hazard for both children and adults. Safety belts and airbags are saving lives and preventing serious injuries. If you take these few extra steps, you'll be in a position to get the maximum benefits from your restraints. So remember the basics. Buckle up properly. Sit back so you're away from the steering wheel and airbag. Check your head restraint. And make sure infants and children are restrained properly.